whatever life was remaining with Denver. I mean, they've played 16 playoff games, which is a lot. So
I mean, obviously it's a must win. I mean, the Nuggets have to win Game 3. I'm with you. I don't love their chances. I didn't love their chances coming in. I don't know if we officially made our picks here, but I was kind of debating between Lakers in 5 and Lakers in 6. I think I'm leaning towards 5 at this point, but I might go 6 just to kind of hedge my bets. I think the big thing here for me is that I just haven't seen the adjustments from Mike Malone yet to this team. I think that there's some obvious moves for him. He did cut Plumlee's minutes a bit, but it's sort of stupefying how much respect Mason Plumlee seems to get. He's not a good defender. He's really, none of the metrics show him as a good defender, but Mike Malone believes in him as a good defender, and he just hasn't shown it. He cut his minutes in Game 2, which I thought was huge for them because he's just not very good for them as a team right now. Michael Porter had some moments in Game 2, but the thing that's just staring you in the face if you're the Nuggets is, why are you not playing more zone? I mean, this is a team, the Lakers are just running out non-shooters on the floor. And I will say, if the Lakers do make it to the finals, I would not be surprised if you see almost half the game against the zone against the Lakers for the rest of the way, because they have too many guys who are just not very good shooters. LeBron James is I mean, if LeBron James beats you shooting jumpers, that's been the book on him since he got into the league. If he beats you shooting jumpers, you live with it. And Anthony Davis, like, if he's shooting threes, it's one thing, but a lot of those he takes 2 steps in and ends up shooting a long 2. Rondo, same thing. Caldwell Pope has not shown that he's that guy. And then when they have JaVale or Dwight on the floor, oh my goodness. I mean, those guys, you can play 10 feet off them unless they're right near the rim. So I expect to see a lot more zone going forward, but Malone really hasn't used it at all. They haven't even really dipped below the picks.
They don't have an answer for Anthony Davis. I know they played against Donovan Mitchell in round 1, Kawhi and Paul George, who didn't play like himself in round 2.
Yeah.
But Anthony Davis is a different breed. I mean, if the Lakers make it to the finals, right, I think the Heat have a better chance defending AD with Bam than anyone on the Celtics. I mean, Tice is okay. Cantor's okay. They can't cover AD. Plus, they're going to be busy with the likes of McGee and Howard. So Anthony Davis is flat out a matchup nightmare. I don't think I've ever said a more obvious statement on this show. Mm-hmm. Mike Malone probably doesn't have any adjustments because there are no adjustments to make. He's playing at the top of his game, and LeBron is kind of in that secondary facilitator role. Really doesn't need to take over games anymore. That is why he handpicked Davis to be his running mate with the Lakers. It's showing in these playoffs.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, they're a great team, and I think they're going to make it there. I think they're going to have a stiffer test in the finals because, I think Malone, I think he's done a good job adjusting in the latter part of series. He might not have time to do that in this series because the series might be over before he has time to adjust if he doesn't do it in Game 3. So, to me, that's the biggest thing. I think they need to start dropping below the level of the screen a lot more, asking the Lakers to hit those threes, make them shoot over you. There's still too many points in the paint. I thought they did a lot better job in Game 2 in the second half, but I think they really need to get into the zone, really force the Lakers to one of the things is it disrupts your pick and roll game. And it's something Doris Burke talked about on the telecast. I think it was Game 2 of Heat Celtics, is the way you set your picks changes against the zone. And LeBron loves the pick and roll. He loves running the pick and roll. Just having that little adjustment for stretches of the game is huge. And it's especially huge when you have, Frank Vogel playing Dwight Howard and JaVale McGee. Those guys are not getting completely excised from the lineup like they did against Houston. So when they're on the floor, to me, that's where you can really get some really good minutes. That's a great time to have Jokic on the floor. And when he's not, I hope that Malone plays more Michael Porter Jr. because he gives their offense a lot more juice than Millsap.
Put Bol in. Just you got nothing to lose. Put Bol in. I mean, honestly, they need some size. Look, Mason Plumlee is a good young player. I mean, he's not young. He's been in the league 7 years now. Wow, we're getting old. But, they need bigs. Millsap can't play heavy minutes anymore. He's more of in that, like, Andre Iguodala type role. Put ball in. You got nothing to lose. It's conference finals. Playing on
He
house
did play
money.
a little. I think game one they played Bull. So you heard it here
Play him
first,
more.
folks. That's
Play
the
him more.
adjustment to make. Get some Bull in there. Um, the series with a lot of adjustments, Jason, has been Celtics Heat. I think you can make the case. I mean, Nick Nurse is right there too, but these are two of the top three coaches in the league, in my opinion. I think the three of them, with Nurse included as the third, I think those are the best three guys in the league right now. I think they are just to use the Golden State Warriors expression, they're light years ahead. They switch their defenses. They have schemes. I thought the first two games, Spo kind of had some nice adjustments against the Celtics. Game three, I don't even know how much of it was Stevens, but just having Hayward back, having them be more aggressive, getting into the paint, really caused some problems for the Heat zone. What do you make of the series, Jason? I mean, we've had a long layoff. What do you think going into game three, which will be on Wednesday?
Well, game three happened. It's 2-1. Celtics got a
Excuse me.
much-needed win.
Game four,
Yeah,
which
thank
happens
you.
on Wednesday.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you. I just gave you another eye roll and stare of bewilderment. But look, I called the Heat winning this, and you told me I was crazy last week. The Heat are just – you want to talk about being in a rhythm and having momentum. I mean, that is the Miami Heat team in a nutshell. Everyone, including us, have said, Jimmy Butler, I mean, you know him because of his time with the Bulls. He's not an alpha dog. He's not a 1A. He is shutting a lot of people up with his play in this series and just elevated the games of Dragic and Hero and Nunn and Bam with that block. That block on Tatum, I mean, that was one of the craziest plays to end the game I've ever seen. And it just made me feel so much better about my pick to beat the Heat. I still say 7. I think I'm going to go Heat in 6. This game 4 is the ultimate swing game because if Boston doesn't win and tie up the series, it's over in 5. The Celtics, I mean, the whole talk of Marcus Smart and Jaylen Brown getting into it in the locker room after the game. Gordon Hayward's coming back. Is he disrupting the rhythm that they had in their last series over Toronto? I mean, there are just a lot of elements. So right now, the Heat are not dealing with that type of adversity, and they are just that team that came together that no one expected them to do much of anything. And I know we have the long layoff of the bubble, and the Heat are probably the biggest beneficiaries of that. And they look ready to make the finals, man. I mean, a lot of people are rooting for them.
I think this series has been the best series so far, and the effort level game 3 was absolutely off the charts. That was the hardest I've seen two teams play so far this season. They were just locked in, driving to the rim. Every rotation was crisp. The Celtics came into that game absolutely locked in. And the question is, to me, Jason, can they keep that up? I mean, that was not a blowout. Usually when you see a team come in like that, they run the other team out of the gym when they're that locked in. And the Heat took that punch and just kept fighting the whole game. And every time the Celtics tried to push that lead up, the Heat found something. They got some buckets. I do think that watching that, the amount of energy that the Celtics needed for game 3, I think it's going to be tough as they come in. The good news for them is that they got this huge chunk of time off. And one of the things that Stevens did that, I don't think they commentated on this during the game, but he edged those minutes totals up. So one of the things, Jason, that I think is going to be really interesting to watch in game 4 is going to be what is the minute totals of their big 5, big 6 guys. Because in game 3, Brad Stevens said, I'm not messing around anymore. He played 6 guys, basically, and then the rest of them didn't hit 10 minutes. He just said, I'm not going with the guys I don't trust. And you got to wonder, too, I mean, Hayward played 31 minutes. You got to think if he was all the way healthy, they might have even edged him up a little higher, and then you might have been really talking about 6 guys total in the whole rotation. And Tice had foul trouble. So you got to think some of that comes from the fact that they had to compensate for that. So I think that's going to be the other piece to watch. Spoelstra did not do that. He spread around the minute totals a little bit more, and it's kind of funny because it's almost the reverse of what just happened in the last series, where Nurse said, I have my 6 guys, those are the guys I'm playing, and that's it. And now we see Stevens doing the same thing. So I think that's going to be really interesting to watch game 4. I think the Celtics got a huge break with that layoff, though, Jason. I think that could not have benefited them more because now they get all that time to rest after playing huge minutes. And if they snatch game 4, then it's a best of 3 series. And then it's just you take 2 games and that's it. You're going to the final. So I think this is going to go 7. I had Celtics in 6. I'm going to stick with the Celtics. I'm not going to back off. I'm going to say Celtics in 7, though. I think they're going to take them to the 7th game.
Well, let's see. If game 4 is on Wednesday, it'll be game 5 Saturday, game 6 Monday. So by the time we record next week, we'll either end this debate with who's right between the two of us, or we'll have a game 7 in our hands, which will be very fun to break down. I mean, either way, this is like Heat Celtics rejuvenated. Long gone are Pierce, Garnett, Allen, LeBron, Wade, and Bosh. It's a new era. And, Butler's here to play. Kemba's here to play. This is the first taste of real postseason success for
How about Jason Tatum?
young teams. Yeah, I mean, Tatum's in his 3rd year. Kemba's been around the block. Jimmy's been around the block. I believe they're in the same draft class. Wasn't Butler 2012?
Oh, man, you're putting me on the spot. I don't remember off the top of my head. I was going to say maybe
Kemba was 2011. And let's look.
I was going to say that actually is Butler's year, I think. I think he was 2011.
And so was Kemba. So there you go. 9 years in the league for these guys. First time in a conference finals for both of them. So, yeah, Tatum's a superstar. No question. He's showing
really
off.
Good.
Yes,
He's
very,
really
very
good.
And he's got an adorable son. But I'm saying for these guys, like, they're almost entering their 10th NBA seasons, and they've never played in the conference finals before. Kemba made the playoffs, one other time? So it's good to see different players on this biggest stage showing out for the right to play in the finals. I mean, that's the best part about the bubble. All bets were off. Bucks were favored, they're gone. The Clippers were favored, they're gone. And that allowed teams like the Nuggets and the Heat to rise up. And we're sitting here talking about them in the conference finals.
And how about the
Never
young
would've
guys,
thought.
though? I mean, yeah, the veterans are fantastic, but let's talk about the young guys on these teams, huh? I mean, like, how many teams have guys who are contributing as rookies, as 2nd and 3rd year players, the way that these guys are? I mean, you look at Miami, they have multiple rookies playing, Jason. They've got Tyler Hero, they've got Kendrick Nunn, and you've got guys like Duncan Robinson who are a little bit older, but are still new to the league, really. I mean, all these guys are coming in. Bam Adebayo has only been in the league for a couple of years. I mean, there's just a ton of youth on both these sides, and you got to wonder. It makes you think, could these be 2 teams that could be seeing each other a lot more in the future? I think that's yet to be seen. As
East
a Nets
is
fan, I
wide
know
open,
you're like, that's
I'm
it.
not even saying that just for the Nets. I mean, look, the Bucks will be back. I think Giannis is going to get someone, or he's gone. So Bucks front office is going to have that pressure on them. The Heat are going to be there. The Celtics are going to be there. You can never count out Toronto. We don't know what Philly's going to do with Simmons and Embiid. The East is – I mean, the West is going to be super competitive, but there are still teams that are notches above others. Top of the East is going to be ripe for the taking next year. So I think these teams are, they're playing great right now. And it's awesome to watch. It's great basketball, but it's still going to be wide open. This year is not going to dictate the future of the top of the East, at least short term.
Well, we'll see. But the last thing is, I know, Jason, you put this in the show notes. You're a generous, kind-hearted man. You're going to let me wax poetic about the Bulls hiring of Billy Donovan. I don't know if you have all the details there you want to read off, but,
I like it in haiku form, please.
I'll have to think about that. I'll get back to you on the haiku. I don't have that many thoughts on the hire yet. I like it overall. I think he's a good coach. I don't know if he's a great coach. It's definitely a departure from the Bulls' way of doing things in the past. They tend to hire inexperienced coaches, shall we say, who have not had a lot of time in the league. So this is something a bit different for them. They have gotten college coaches. I guess that is where Donovan had his most success, winning 2 national titles at Florida. So I like that. Zach LaVine likes to hire, which is big. This seems to say one thing that's very interesting, Jason, though, which is the Bulls sort of seemed like they were going towards a little bit of a rebuild. Billy Donovan pretty much told Sam Presti he was not interested in a rebuild in OKC. So coming to the Bulls sort of suggests that he doesn't see this team rebuilding, which might mean that he thinks that the Bulls are a playoff contender next year, which I'm not sure I necessarily agree with him, but I'm happy to hear that, and I look forward to them winning some more games next year. But a lot of Bulls fans are talking about 2021 And if the Bulls could finally get some luck in free agency, they've never really been a free agency destination